Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. Okay, I do that every week. Welcome to the Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am here this beautiful Monday morning with David. And as always, we're here to share with you the wisdom and practices that will help you navigate the coming week. We are at the beginning of a new month, and we're going to talk about that at the end of today's episode. But first and foremost, we want to make sure everybody is aware of that shift. And that's what we do here on the Weekly Energy Boost, is we look at what the wisdom of Kabbalah says about the coming week and the coming month, and we synthesize that into 50 minutes of consciousness, wisdom, and tools that will help our listeners not only get through the next 7 days, but ultimately live a better life. And we're talking this week about luck, and more than luck, it's really free will versus destiny, as David wants us to call this show. The idea is that there may be some things that in life that look like we can't help them, we can't change them. What can I do? That's how I was raised, or that's the economy, or the pandemic, or the vaccine, or the government again, right? It's this endless cycle of whose fault is it, and how helpless am I? And the tendency in the next month is going to be that sort of, well, what can I do about it? And whether your tendency is to do something rebellious in response to the fact that you can't do anything, or your response is to shut down, we want to make sure that everybody realizes that in any given moment, you can do anything. You can do anything. And we'll talk about the unique situations in which that might not be possible. But in general, the concept of luck doesn't exist in Kabbalah. And that's, I think, the first and most important thing we want to point out, is that there is no such thing as luck. There are no lucky people. You could look at it. I was actually doing some research for today's show. Luck is really, or what we call luck, and it's is it a coincidence that St. Patrick's Day is this week? I'm not sure. Luck is really a combination of timing and preparedness. That's really how I think it's professionally defined. And I know David usually brings in the more professional, cutting edge, business-minded thinking, whatever. But the general consensus for those of us who understand that luck doesn't exist, luck is really a combination of being able to seize an opportunity, having the right timing, and also having the right ingredients, which I would call preparedness, right? If you are preparing for something, when the right time for it comes, you jump on it, you look like a lucky person. How lucky are they? Look what they did. They said the right words, they invested the right money, they knew the right people. That's not luck. That's something that is completely within our power to affect, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
I think it's important to talk about some of the basic concepts that we teach in Kabbalah 1. I don't know if you've taken Kabbalah 1 recently, the format keeps changing, the curriculum keeps changing, but one of the things that we talk about is we answer the question of what do you have free will over versus what is already written in your destiny. And a lot of people don't know the basic understanding that when the soul comes to this world, the soul has infinite scripts already pre-written, and those scripts of their life, the movie of their life, is already determined from birth to death. And every single thing that happens in those scripts is already determined. Every cough and sneeze, to every boyfriend or girlfriend you're going to have, to who you're going to marry, to what kind of children you'll have, to your financial situation. All of that's already determined. It's already pre-written. However, our free will is which script we shift to at any given moment. And the Kabbalists say that the free will to shift up a movie or down a movie, so imagine up is a better movie, a more fulfilling script, which is pre-written, but it's more fulfilling than the one you had prior. And you can keep going up, and going down represents a less fulfilling life. The free will that you have exists only at the moment of pain and discomfort. So when you feel a lack, what we call in Kabbalah, when you are touching what's called your malchut, you feel the lack. At that moment, you have a choice about what you do. And we teach this in Kabbalah 1 about what you need to do is you need to overcome the lack and not react to it. If you react to the lack, you shift down. If you pause and you take control over the situation, you don't let the situation control you, and you're shifting up. This is the general understanding of free will versus destiny.
There was a really popular book series when I was a youngster called Choose Your Own Adventure. I don't know if David is too young to remember, but basically the author would write out all the possible plot twists and endings, and at the end of every couple pages, you looked at first of all, it was all written in the, I think it's called fourth person, when it's you're the main character. So you're walking down the street, you're on your way home from school, a car pulls up next to you and tells you to get in. If you want to get in the car, turn to page 36. If you want to run home and tell your mom, go to page 40. And the plots would intersect. You may go around and then find yourself in the same storyline again. But ultimately, you were the one turning the pages. And that to me has always been my example of how to explain, that yes, there's an ending in that book that's miserable. There's a few storylines in the book that are not ideal. But at the bottom of every page, you get to choose which page to turn to. You have another opportunity to, like you said, go against that lack, that fear, that comfort zone. And if you do, you upgrade the plot.
Right. Sorry, I'm clearing my throat here. But one of the things that students, their mind is kind of blown when they start to learn Kabbalah is that they think that the way they achieve something is by putting forth their talent, their energy, their effort, their pedigree, and therefore I achieve something. I achieve a certain status. I achieve a certain level of success. I'm becoming healthy. I'm becoming liked because I put forth this energy. I kind of controlled my destiny. I manipulated, for lack of a better word, the world. And as a result, I achieved something. And we learn in Kabbalah that that's actually not what's happening. Instead, what we're saying is, if you play the game differently, which is your number one goal from the moment you wake up in the morning is, how do I access the light force by taking advantage of the challenges that come my way and not reacting to them, then I will achieve what my soul is meant to achieve in the fastest way, the most fulfilled way, without all the ups and downs that we go through. So our ego tells us, I got here because I'm smart. But in reality, you were going to get there anyways. And if you want to get there faster, without the pain, without the suffering in this lifetime, because you can get to what you're meant to in many lifetimes later, you don't want to wait that long. It's by living by the spiritual laws of this universe, of which we say first, how do you react when you feel pain and lack?
I want to read a section from a book called The Power of Kabbalah, which is from the teachings of Rav Berg, because it touches on something that David is just alluded to, and I think it's an important idea for us to bring up as well. It says here, our sole mission in the world is to elevate to a higher spiritual level. As we've seen, we are imbued with the feature of free will when it comes to changing our ways and ascending the spiritual ladder. And free will can only exist if time is injected into our existence. The downside is that time can create the illusion that goodness goes unrewarded and evil goes unpunished, even though it's merely a delayed response on the part of the universe. As we've seen, this postponement effect gives us the freedom of choice between good and evil. Keep in mind, too, that evil behavior is much more than just violence or even murder. Unkind words to a stranger who cuts you off on the highway or a demeaning look at your children can set cause and effect into motion as well. In fact, assassinating a person's character is every bit as bad as killing that person physically. Here we go. There is a law of cause and effect in this universe.
What page are you reading from?
146.
Okay. This is the Power of Kabbalah book, page 146.
Right. What we put out is what we get back. Based on this law, we can assume that when we react in a negative way, and here's what David was talking about, there should be an immediate negative effect in our lives. The opposite should also be true. When we perform an act of kindness, and our wishes should come true instantly. However, time is tossed into the cause and effect process by the opponent, and so the outcomes of our actions are delayed. This way, we believe we got away with the hurtful action, or that there is no reward for being good. This distance between cause and effect prevents us from perceiving connections between events in our life. We might have planted a seed 30 years ago, but by the time it sprouts, we've forgotten all about it. Thus, a tree suddenly appears out of nowhere. Chaos or blessings appear to be sudden because time has separated cause from effect. But nothing in this world happens this way. Everything can be traced to some seed planted in our past. Time creates the illusion of randomness when, in fact, there is order. And to me,
it's beautiful.
That is also about...
This book changed my life. This was this was probably the first Kabbalah book I read 20 years ago.
Right. This is definitely the quintessential Kabbalah read. That idea, I think that when we look outside of us and we see, they're so lucky. Look at that relationship. They are so lucky. Or how lucky they were to have won the lottery, or to invested in whatever stock that's now GameStop or whatever it is that's now, making headlines. There is no such thing as luck. Here, the wisdom of Kabbalah is telling us, if you see something that doesn't look, and part of the illusion is that we are looking at it, right? We're judging the entire miniseries by a single frame of footage, but we look at that single frame of footage and we say, that's not fair, or they're lucky, or why am I not lucky? We forget that there is this system of cause and effect in our universe that is on a time delay system. And so we don't always see the connection between the investment return and a seed of restriction, maybe the person did some huge letting go on something 20 years ago, and therefore they look lucky right now, when in fact it is something that they invested a serious effort in and only met the returns 20 years later.
The concept of time here is a really important one for all of us to understand. The reason why the Creator gave us time, instead of just immediate cause and effect, right? Immediate cause and effect would be, I do something negative happens. I speak bad about somebody, all of a sudden my mouth starts to have pain, or I have sores all over my mouth. I would immediately know to transform myself and never speak that way again, because I see the cause and effect. If something good happens, if I do something positive, then there's some kind of reward. The world is not like that for a reason, to give us free will in how to act. So the time is injected in the process so that I can choose what kind of a person I want to be, and it's not pain and reward forcing me or controlling me to be a certain way. So I want to make that point. The other thing I wanted to say is about time. Whatever you're going through in your life right now, most likely is not because of something you did yesterday. I remember Karen once told me this. He said, if you're successful today, it's because in whatever area, it's because of seeds you planted 6 months ago. Let's just give that time frame. That means maybe 6 months ago you were going through a difficult time. You were starting something new and you pushed against the grain. You went against your nature. You transformed aspects of yourself. You felt dependent on a higher power, and so you prayed and you reached out. All of these things are what are spiritual actions that help you connect to a better destiny. And as a result, you planted all these seeds, but 6 months ago, nothing was moving for you. But you had no choice. You're in survival mode, so you did all these positive actions. Now, 6 months later, you're successful. But what happens when people are successful, or when something works out for you, what happens? You step back from the initial actions that you did when you had nothing. The humility kind of leaves. The need for the Creator's help is not really there anymore. There's an ego in the way you talk to people and the way you look at the world. As a result, you start planting negative seeds without realizing it. And so those negative seeds then manifest 6 months later. And that is why, and then the pattern keeps going on. And that is why people experience ups and downs. And if you are experiencing ups and downs in your life, that means it's great, and then it's not, and then it's great, and then it's not. It's because you're living your life according to how you feel now and your actions are based on how you feel now, as opposed to who cares about how I feel, who cares about the results. I'm going to live a certain way according to the laws of the universe, as we explain here in Kabbalah. I'm going to live that way regardless of if it's good or it's bad. I'm not going to react to the result.
Well, that's I wish I had $1 for every time I heard, but I'm a good person, right?
Yeah.
Why isn't this working out for me? Or I'm making I'm so kind, I'm so generous. But in truth, and all of us are like this. This is not, I'm not singling out any one person. There are behaviors that are usually inner behaviors that what's the word? Jeopardize the things that we're working on, whether it's a physical thing that we're working on, a work project or a building of a business or whatever, or it's a relationship, or it's something going on in the family realm. It is usually a consciousness issue, an inner struggle, rather than an external doing good versus not doing good, that ends up interfering with well, I'm going to call it interfering. What David is really saying is everything, every thought, word, and action we do plants a seed. And the only thing we really need to do is be mindful of what kind of seeds we're planting. The problem is most people are trying to keep score. Well, I planted a good seed. Where's my good fruit? And keeping score is a huge source of misery and will ultimately make you feel like what you're doing isn't quote unquote working, because you're expecting a one-to-one return on your effort.
So what are we saying that we should do? I mean, there's a lot of things we're talking about here, but I want to make it practical. And if you walk away with something, what we're teaching in our classes and what we've been taught by our teachers and mentors is, don't live your life based, number one, on how you feel, because how you feel means that you see something with your five senses, you hear something, you see something, you feel something, and then you react to it. As opposed to saying, all right, I heard bad news. Well, that doesn't change the fact that I need to live a proactive life. That doesn't change the fact that I need to be a giver and have certainty and not be a victim and not be annoying and not be skeptical. It doesn't change anything. Whether you're going through a good time or a bad time, we need to be stable and consistent in all the positive actions that we do. And the Kabbalists say that when you're going through a difficult time, part of why you're going through it is the Creator kind of steps back. You feel darkness. You feel like you're in a tough space. But the Creator steps back so that now you can build your new destiny. You can elevate. Because you can't elevate when everything is good. We've got to make that clear.
I feel like you've said that in every show for the past
Have I?
month. No, in a different angle, but It's the same idea. Just because things aren't going your way doesn't mean you're doing something wrong.
Right. You can celebrate the wins and appreciate and enjoy them. However, there will be times where the Creator steps back, and you know the Creator steps back when you're confused and you feel dejected. Maybe nothing even happened, but you just feel bad. That means the Creator steps back. And now is the moment of spiritual truth. How are you going to act when you're in the shadow, when you're in the darkness? And if you can remember, wow, now it's game time. Now I'm going to do every positive action knowing I'm not going to feel anything from it. In fact, I'm probably not going to see any result. It looks like I'm spinning my wheels. I'm going to consistently inject that light, that energy, that positivity, that certainty in this darkness. And what's happening in the upper worlds is you're scaling like 1,000 movies up. But the movie doesn't start till, I don't know,
it doesn't
a couple months later.
download.
It doesn't down. Yeah, it's buffering. You're not there yet. You don't get to see the movie. Because by the way, if you saw the movie right away, everybody would be spiritual, but it wouldn't be from us. It would be from, again, reactively, right? I mean, by the way, if Kabbalah worked immediately for people, everyone in the world would study Kabbalah. There'd be billions of people who immediately would study.
Even using those words, Kabbalah worked, right? I think a lot of people say, well, I'm quitting Kabbalah. You can't really quit Kabbalah. Whether it's interesting because you can know Kabbalah, you can learn Kabbalah, but you can't quit it, because basically what Kabbalah teaches, the core fundamental teachings of Kabbalah are how the universe was created, how our world came into being. So you are living, your life is subject to those laws, whether you've learned them or not. And I think that that's one of the revelations people have when they learn Kabbalah is they're like, well, wait a second, that makes so much sense. I the same way when you're whatever in I don't know, kindergarten, first grade, and you first learn about gravity and you realize, well, that's why I can't, jump off the monkey bars and fly off into the air. That I've been
You
living
can't create gravity.
I've been living my life subject to those laws all my life, only now I start to learn them and I can live with them instead of trying to fight them.
Right.
And what we encounter so many times is people trying to defy the laws of gravity, spiritual gravity, or avoid the consequences of living in spiritual gravity. Kabbalah simply says, learn them, work with them, and you will be more fulfilled and be fulfilling your purpose and be more connected and expressing the light of your soul, or you can struggle. You can continue to struggle. And that to me brings us to another, I mean, when you were talking, I was thinking about when I was a student years ago, one of the teachers put on probably wasn't PowerPoint back then, it was what were those machines with the slides that they would put like a transparency on the thing and it would project on the wall. It said reactor, the word reactor, which is what David was talking about being. If you're going to react to everything that happens externally, you're the effect. You're constantly at the mercy of whatever's going on around you. You're the victim in a way. Creator is the same letters as reactor.
Very nice.
Right? Think about it. In English, creator and reactor are the same letters, just mixed up. And that's the whole thing, is that we get mixed up. We're here to be the creator. We're here to, by making more elevated choices, we create our better reality, a lucky universe. But if we're not, we jumble the letters and we become the reactor. And that being able to overhead projector. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Thank you. Overhead projector. That's really what we've been talking about. And to me, taking everything we've spoken about in the last 20 minutes, what are we really saying? Lucky is a state of mind. Regardless of what's going on right now, if I feel gratitude, appreciation, I'm looking at the connectedness of everything in my life, I'm searching for ways to plant more positive seeds, I am creating my own luck. I am connecting to that. I am lucky. Look at all the blessings in my life. And even if you can't in the moment connect to a blessing in your life, go outside and see nature at work, right? We were talking about this last week with Dr. Richard Olberger. He was saying, look at a flower, look at a hummingbird, find a bumblebee that's trying to do its job and reconnect yourself to the thought of creation, that you are here for a reason. And if you can, even in the smallest things, and I wrote a list of different ways that you can plug back into that zone of feeling lucky, feeling grateful, there you can reconnect, realign yourself with that source of light within you and go back to the seed planting that David is talking about.
I want to share a deeper Kabbalah concept of what happens when you go through a difficult time. Sometimes you'll make a mistake that the Creator forced you to make. So you didn't even have free will. So you did something, you're ashamed, you're embarrassed, you're upset about it. You feel you've gone backwards now. I don't know if you guys can relate to that.
Oh, never.
Right? And
I can relate every week.
I don't know, people writing in the chat, if you have something of that nature and you want to put it there, we can discuss it. But you made a mistake and then you feel horrible about it. And often you think to yourself, well, that was a test and I failed it. But what you don't realize is that the Creator was going to force you to fail that test, because the real test was what happens after, how you feel about yourself, how you handle failure. Do you wallow in guilt and shame and sadness? Because that wallowing in shame, which could last weeks, months, and years, creates much more negativity than the 4-second mistake you made.
Right, because every thought, word, and action plants a seed. While you're wallowing, you're planting future seeds of darkness and more wallowing.
It's a vicious cycle. And so why I gave this example is because the Creator places people in certain destinies that they need to correct. Oftentimes, how we get there, we have no free will. And this is why sometimes people have a correction they need to make only with wealth. So what happens is they become wealthy very easily, or they're born into wealth. Why? Not because they're lucky, but because their tikkun, their correction, begins at a stage of wealth. So there's something in a past life they didn't correct as a wealthy individual, so they have to come again as a wealthy individual to have this test. And practically also, everybody should know. We know this empirically from meeting with people, and as I say it, you all will know that it's true. And no matter who you are, where you are, what financial status you have, your level of challenges are going to be equivalent to everyone else. The opponent rises to whatever level you are at. So if you have if your net worth is $100,000, you got $100,000 a ton. If your net worth is $1 million, you have $1 million a ton, an opponent. So no matter what level, this is why money or whatever the situation is never going to solve the pain, because your opponent rises to that level. The only way to become fulfilled is to know how to overcome the opponent. But you can't escape the opponent by changing something in your physical reality.
I want to go back and pick up on something you said before. And we have, by the way, brilliant questions.
Yeah,
Someone here is asking, let's go to questions. Someone here is asking, we refer a lot to purpose. Please clarify. So purpose, and it's an important part of the question, important part of the conversation, because if you think your purpose is success in the material world and you're working toward that and it's not happening, it's very easy to look unlucky when everybody else around you is succeeding. Or, you know, David was talking about somebody being financially comfortable, well off. You may be the type of person, or you may see a person who has no, you know, is swept off their feet by the love of their life, their soulmate at age 20, never has to date anybody, never has to mess up, never has any regrets. Right. But their tikkun is going to be somewhere else. And when we say the word tikkun, what we're really saying, and this is explaining the concept of purpose, every individual's purpose is the transformation, the healing of their tikkun, and the expression of their unique gifts. So a person's tikkun, a person's correction process can involve billions of different possibilities. I would go so far as to say you don't have one, you have at least a handful, and they're often interrelated. It can be anything from anger, laziness, stubbornness, sadness. Chime in here, David. What other examples of tikkuns?
Shame, guilt, worry about your children, worry about your friends, worry about your parents, worried about your health, worried about your age.
There you go. There's so many colors on the tikkun spectrum. And the other side of the tikkun or purpose coin is you have certain gifts to share, certain light to share, certain positive qualities, right? It's not all work on yourself. Part of the work is radiating the unique light of your soul. And so we often talk on the Weekly Energy Boost about the impediments, right? The distractions that we encounter. We think they're the problem when really they're just the distraction keeping us from working on our tikkun. And inevitably, working on our tikkun is the fulfillment of our purpose and does unlock the other pleasurable experiences we are looking for on the planet. So it's directly related. I hope I'm not overstating it. Directly related to our experience of joy and fulfillment in the world is the work on our tikkun. And that's one of the reasons that people, I would say at least initially, love applying this wisdom to their lives, is because they finally are starting to connect with their purpose, which is something inside of them and not outside of them. So even if you feel called to do a certain work, a profession, maybe you're a writer or a healer or a networker, or you're just a great business owner, boss, parent, whatever, that isn't your purpose. That's simply the stage on which your purpose can unfold. And I always use the example of the guy who, I assume his name is Tom, the guy who created Tom's Shoes, right? One for one. He created this business model where for every pair of shoes you buy, somebody in need gets a pair of shoes, which was a business model that's then been replicated by so many different companies on so many different ways in so many different countries. Is it fair to say that Tom's purpose was to create Tom's shoes? I say, and I'm hoping he'll reach out to us at some point and come on the show, his purpose is not making a shoe company or providing shoes for people in need. Whatever personal transformation he had to go through to create that company was the purpose. And the platform is the company called Tom's Shoes. So when we're looking at, even, you could look at him and say, well, what a lucky guy, right? Not only is he rolling in wealth, I'm sure, but he's doing good in the world. He must be so fulfilled. So the only person who can answer that is Tom, because his fulfillment is directly proportionate to the work that he is doing on himself.
Another way of approaching this, I know in the third class of Kabbalah 1, because it's hard for people to wrap their head around what you shared. And kind of the way I softball this concept to the audience is you can kind of you can look at your life's purpose in two parts. It is what the value you're supposed to bring to the world. Let's say it's 50% of it. The other 50% of it is the work that you need to do. So intrinsically, work you need to do on yourself. So intrinsically, we all feel, all right, well, I'm going to sell, I don't know, garlic presses. I'm just came up with something. Sell garlic presses online. And then you feel like that's what you need to do right now, make some money, whatever it is.
I'm a big fan of the garlic press, by the way.
And you realize there's a need for a better garlic press. So you say, okay, I'm going to do that. And then that evolves because, you helped some level of the world to creating this better garlic press. And that evolves into something else and something else. And I'm sorry. Your soul unravels kind of deeper and deeper ways of how you can bring value to the world. And the value doesn't have to be this grand thing where you change the world, but you're in a mode of adding value, that value is needed to be added by you. In that process of adding value, you will see the other 50% of your purpose, which is your tikkun, your personal garbage. So you'll have maybe employees who reflect what's wrong with you. You'll have legal issues which bring out the worst in you. You'll have competitor attacks which cause you to be stressed and fearful. And all of a sudden you see aspects of yourself you never saw before. And Rav Berg would share with us that you need to go out into the world and share and be a giver in order to see the other 50%. I remember when I asked, is our purpose to spread the wisdom of Kabbalah? Remember, we've been doing this for more than, our whole life practically. And I remember being told your purpose is not to spread the wisdom of Kabbalah. It's the way that you give, but through that, you're going to see all your garbage. You're going to see everything about yourself. So, and that's the true purpose. That's the true, so the highest level purpose is the transformation of yourself to become aligned with the light of the Creator. But the only way you're really going to know what's going on with you is as you embark on the path of giving and adding value to the world.
Another question that came up here is, how important is it to understand why you made the mistake? Why is it in my movie? So we ask this question, why is it in my movie? We relate our lives plot, the scenes in our movie, the scenes in our life like a movie. Mm-hmm. And we encourage our students to ask the question, why is this in my movie? Why is this scene happening? And I think that we maybe need to reword the question, because understanding why it's in our movie is not going to be the source of our transformation, the source of our strength or inspiration. It is more of a understanding that the goal is to understand that there is a deeper purpose here. So for example, David mentioned before that it's in life, it's not about pass or fail, it's how you fail. That's really the test. So if I can just use an example that my teacher often gave, if a woman has trouble being in an intimate romantic relationship, she's resistant to it, and she's asking, why is this in my movie? If she finds out that in a previous lifetime she had some sort of sexual abuse, is that going to help her overcome the fears around being in an intimate relationship in this lifetime? The answer is, of course, no. The asking why is it in my movie is really trying to understand what's in this for me. This is coming to me for a reason. what am I supposed to do with it? What is the universe giving it to me for? Is it so that I'll scream and shout? Is it so that I will shut my mouth? Is it so that I will ignore and have my self-esteem come from a real place? Or is it so that I will take that feedback and be more careful about how I speak or how I treat others? The asking why is it in my movie is a tool for reflecting on I guess it really just to make sure that what we experience in our daily lives isn't just that superficial chit chat, that we understand that our whole movie is orchestrated to get us to connect with that change and transformation and revelation of the unique light of our soul.
If the change doesn't happen, you will not unlock the rewards physically and spiritually. The fulfillment will not come unless the internal change happens. And the ego will do everything in its power to hold on to that. It's pretty phenomenal. Watch yourself the next time you get criticized. And not criticized by someone you respect and love and you're like, wow, thank you. No, criticized by somebody that you think they're a stupid person, but they're saying something about you and it bothers you and you're just dismissing them. The ego does not want to accept the need for transformation. And some of us have a hard time letting it in because we're afraid then we're going to be depressed and we're going to like go the opposite extreme. So we put up these walls where we don't really want to hear what's going on. And it's a scary feeling. However, when you realize that the ego is doing that and you start to let it in and you start to think about it like Elisheva said, and you say, all right, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And how can I uproot this and transform this? And this is really my life's work. It's my life's purpose. Let's not forget that. Then you begin to move forward in your life. You shift to a new destiny, because there are higher levels that are waiting for you that you can't go there. When you have your fears. You can't go there with those fears.
That's another question that came up is, how do I know there's a better movie than what I'm in right now? There is always a better movie than what you're in right now, because the way I like to think about it is that the more transformation I achieve, the more I reveal the part of myself that can be fulfilled. So it's almost like, it's a very kind of gross, it's sort of a David-esque example, but like, your tongue is only so big, you have only so many taste buds, you can only experience flavor to whatever extent your tongue and your olfactory organs can handle it, right? Imagine that the more you transform, the bigger the organ you can feel fulfillment
the bigger
with.
Your tongue gets.
Exactly. That imagine, and it's so metaphorical, that food will taste better. The more, there is a world where food tastes, that for David and I, that's a big deal. There is a level of your movie where food tastes even better than it tastes right now.
Right.
And that fulfillment comes with the transformation. I'm looking at another question we have here. Being a mother and homemaker is the most challenging for me. Is that my purpose, to find peace in my home? I would say, again, that sounds to me something more external, right? Let's relate it to any area of life. If there is a specific area of your life that you find challenging, whether it's at home, in your marriage or relationship, at work, making money, whatever, even health, taking care of your health and well-being, it's not that the taking care of that area in your life is your purpose. The question I would ask is, what is so difficult for you about taking care of that area in your life?
Because it should be natural. It should be the way your kidneys right now are cleansing. I don't know what they're cleansing. What do kidneys cleanse?
Your coffee. The coffee you just drank.
Right,
filtering it out right now.
The organs aren't like questioning, hey, I don't know, should I cleanse this? Should I not? The heart's like, I don't know, am I going to beat today? The organs naturally know what they need to do. And when we have a blockage in a certain area of our life where we don't know, should I do this? As soon as there's a blockage, as soon as you don't know what to do, it means there's some negativity inside you that's blocking the kidney from doing its job, from the lungs doing its job. That's the thing. Otherwise, some people, you should naturally know, you should be a channel, naturally know what to do with your children, naturally know what to do with your love life.
The question is, what does it bring up in you that makes it difficult? Do you feel out of control? Do you feel angry? Do you feel jealous? Do you feel insecure? Those things are where the work is, not making everybody else happy so there isn't conflict anymore, or not spending an extra 2 hours at the office because one of your coworkers is slacking off, and then your boss will be happier, so you'll get the manipulation of the physical reality is never going to provide us a lasting solution.
Now, on the flip side, the way I've learned how to give energy in different parts of my life is what's calling out to you. So people say, well, how do I know what the Creator wants me to do? If my body's hurting, I know that my health is calling out to me. And at least for the next couple of weeks, that's where I need to invest more time and energy and do all the spiritual work we're talking about.
And you know that your body can also give you pointers on the metaphysical things, emotional things that you can work on.
Absolutely. We have classes about that. If all of a sudden your child says something to you like a sarcastic comment, like, "Oh,
you're always looking at your phone."
It's not too sarcastic. That's just a direct hit.
Right. So then you, instead of you being like, well, no, no, I don't, and putting it back in your pocket, it's, I'm so glad you pointed that out. And the next time you catch me doing that again, I want you to let me know.
That's right. I remember my 3-year-old one time, he dropped something and he's like, "Oh, shit." And he said SHIT. And I said, well, okay, well, that's a good reminder.
That you need to watch your mouth.
Yeah. No, well, I don't know if it was me. It could have been somebody else. I'm not saying anything. I don't know if I say that stuff like that. But yeah, the point is, it's calling out to you. Your children are calling out to you, saying, "Hey, elevate your parent game."
As David used to call it, grab for the low-hanging fruit first.
That's right. And people overcomplicate it. They're like, "What am I supposed to do?" I'm like, "Well, what do you feel you want to do most right now? Oh, what should I work on? My anger, my this." What do you feel you want to work on? Because that is the Creator calling out to you, saying, work on that.
The obvious stuff that's in your face, that if you polled the people who are the 10 closest people to you in your life, they would say is the most important thing to do.
Or I would say that which you feel most passionate about changing, that you feel like this is what I would want to change if I had to choose something. Because that's your soul also telling you what's the right thing to do. Well, 1 or 2 minutes left, Elisheva. Do you want to drive this one home?
So yes, I do. First of all, for those of you, I read an excerpt from a book this morning, and for those of you that are interested in reading it, as we said before, it's The Power of Kabbalah from the teachings of Rav Berg. We have a special discount for our readers, which is, I think it's 10% off. If you're watching the video now, you can see it on the screen.
But only on our website, or they can get it off of Amazon?
No. The discount is only available on, it's the unique link that we're showing you on the screen. The link is share.kabbalah.com/web10, WEB10, if you want the discount. Of course, you can find the book in many places.
Share.kabbalah.com /
Not / David,
//web10.
Yes.
Share.kabbalah.com.
Yes, and one of the reasons that we're also bringing up this idea this week is because we, as we mentioned before, we've just shifted into the month of Aries. The month of Aries is the first month on the astrological calendar, so it means it's the first sign of the zodiac on the zodiac wheel, and we use these 12 days, these first 12 days. If you're listening on Monday, it's the second day, so you're just at the beginning. What Kabbalah teaches is that every day of these 12 days controls 1 month of the year. We are in the day that controls the month of Taurus, the month of ER. So right now we are focusing on what that means, which I'm not going to give away right now. What I want to invite all our listeners to do, if you aren't already on Kabbalah.com, is to go to Kabbalah.com. We have a special live stream every day of like 10 minutes of consciousness on how to navigate the day. It's at 6 p.m. every evening for the coming day. So if you're listening on Tuesday, Tuesday's controlling the month of Gemini, Wednesday is controlling the month of Cancer, and so on. And each day has its unique medicine, its unique antidote, so that you can prepare. What we're really doing, apropos, we spoke so much in today's episode about seed planting. What we're doing in each 24-hour segment, each 24-hour day of these 12 days, is we are genetically modifying that month so that, let's say, however, just as a cheat code here, the month of Taurus is about getting outside of your comfort zone. So the more I can get outside of my comfort zone today, the better month of Taurus I will have, and that month starts in about 30 days, so it's not that far off, and so forth. So I want to invite everybody to go to, we also have a special link. If you're watching the video, you can see it here. It is the 12 days of Aries on that one, share.kabbalah.com/12 days of Aries _web. 12 days of Aries _web. If you'd like, if you're listening to the podcast, you can email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com and I can send that off to you. By the way, probably the easiest way to find it, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is if you go to our Instagram account, Weekly Energy Boost on Instagram, it is in our link tree. The top link in our link tree is this link, so that you can catch the daily consciousness on Kabbalah.com every week for the next every day for the next 12 days.
And I want to mention, we don't often do promotions on the show. We don't monetize the show in any way. However, when we, we don't benefit off of these links and stuff, but when we believe something is good for our audience, something that we love, something that we know is life-changing, we simply ask our media department, can you give our audience a discount? And we just want to give it to them. And that's that. Power of Kabbalah, the book, is the book I've recommended most to students. It's one of my 3 favorite books. I'm not going to say what the other 2 are, because too much is too much. So this is the book. Even if you studied Kabbalah for a while, this book is deeper it gets deeper every time you read it as you advance on your journey. That's number 1. Number 2, in about a month, so we're not going to talk about it in about a month, I'm going to do a global Kabbalah one, so just put that in the back of your mind. But the other thing I wanted to say is, and I hope it's okay that I'm dropping it here, that we are the teachers from all around the world. If you join Clubhouse, we have a Kabbalah Centre account, and each teacher is sharing different powerful points and concepts on Clubhouse. You have to have an invite. You have to have a friend who does it, and it's kind of complicated how you get there. But if you follow me or follow the Kabbalah Centre, Marcus and I are going to do a business secrets of business. Basically, we change it every week, but we're going to do something this Tuesday at 5:30 PST. And we did one last week, and it was super popular. At over
Thursday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday at 5:30 PST. That's on Clubhouse. So follow the Kabbalah Centre account and follow us, follow Marcus and myself, and you'll be updated.
I can't really add much more to that. Next week, we are having Daniel Naor on our show. He's been a very popular guest, and we're excited to have him back.
People love Daniel.
And we are going to spend the whole month really talking about ways to plug into greater happiness and how to leave those impediments behind. You'll be surprised to hear what some of those impediments are. So as always, share, like, rate, review, and we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.